Having just finished the most intense, stressful, and exhilarating production process I've ever experienced for my upcoming film Purple Haze, if my producer and I had known every obstacle and challenge we were about to face, we probably wouldn't have made it if we knew beforehand. But to a certain degree, that's the beauty of directing. Jumping into a production without knowing exactly what problems you'll get to solve, but trusting and believing in the message that you're telling in your story with full conviction that you won't let anything get in your way. So instead of listing everything that went wrong, I'm going to share the few things that went right for us. 4 of them are practical tools that you can start using today. The other 4 are mindset shifts that will instantly improve how you approach directing. Now, none of this is sponsored by any of the products or gear I mentioned in this video. None of these suggestions should stop you from making your film if you don't have them. These are simply the things that worked for me and the things that might save you from going a little insane as I did. I'm Andrew Kaplan, a writer, director, and content creator, and these are the 8 tips and tricks I wish I knew before I started directing. On this production, it was the first time I decided to commit to doing a full previz, and it immediately became the most priceless part of our pre-production process. Previz was like an asphalt roller for us. It was a space for us to catch problems earlier and smooth them out before the stakes were at their highest. With the number of constraints we were dealing with, we needed the margin of error to be as close to 0 as possible. In earlier projects, my version of previz was much more limited. We would only run through the shots I assumed would be the hardest. But in this film, I approached it differently. We went through every shot. Many of them were simple and took almost no time at all, but that thoroughness made the entire sequences clearer, while strengthening the most important relationship trio on set: the director, me, your DP, and your assistant director. Having a physical run-through created a shared visual language before we ever stepped onto the set for real. For me personally, previz gave me something tangible to reference when thinking about the film visually, bringing the shots into my head, helping me understand how the scenes would actually move. Just as importantly, it gave the actors time to take in the space. So by the time they arrived on set, they not only knew their blocking, but they also knew the rhythm of the production. Now, the temporary edit. What made previz even more valuable was building a temporary edit from it. If we stopped at simply testing shots, we would have known what worked technically but not emotionally, and we wouldn't have been able to see how those pieces function together as a film. Now, once I assembled the previz into an edit, it exposed things that I would have totally missed, from performance inconsistencies, pacing issues, and story beats that weren't landing clearly. It was a sneak peek of what needed to be changed before we started shooting, so I could have my director's and editor's cap on while on set. Editing is where film comes alive. If the goal is only to recreate the script as closely as possible, then the edit is being treated as a formality instead of a creative process. For me, assembling the script is just a rough draft. The real work begins after that. The majority of your film should take place in pre- and post-production. Production may be the most intense part, but it should only be a small proportion of the overall process. Previz is one of the few opportunities to discover, while the cost of changing them is almost 0. Without this, I would have had no way of knowing if a focus mark was off or a line was forgotten. Having the monitor in my view allowed me to communicate with my DP with ease and conviction for the both of us. Most cases on set, when the director would ask or rewatch a shot on camera, any notes, intentional or not, would come off as criticisms and halt the crew's momentum. Yet with this, it removed all of that, allowing any notes to be made as urgent adjustments as opposed to meandering discussions. Even for performances, it allowed me to point out visually what wasn't working to the actors. If you think logistics are hard, wait until you have to communicate your vision, which is why radios are now a must for my upcoming productions. Whether I'm working with a smaller or larger crew, the benefits will continue to be vital to me. As noted before, because we were shooting in one room, we only had 2 rooms to store, feed, and serve as video village for a crew of more than 40 people. It allowed our communications with our PA team in charge of the 30+ extras to be seamless. When we needed people to clear out, it was done with the snap of a finger. Without these, we would have easily gone over time, and for my sanity, I would have gone off my rocker. I mean, they're game changers. Like the monitor, it raised arguably the 2 most important factors on set: communication and time. These communication blunders were the simplest and fastest way for me to lose trust in my crews earlier. But with radios, not only did my crew gain a sense of accomplishment in communicating their way through problems, but they also bonded better. When you're having fun with people, naturally you're able to relax better than without them. To relax as a director, you have to be willing to let go. For me, that was one of the hardest things to actually learn. On my earlier films, I'd spend so much time worrying about what I might be overlooking or what problems I hadn't yet solved that I'd forget to actually enjoy being on set. Meditation helped change that. It reminded me that I wasn't in a do or die situation. I was simply making something I genuinely loved. Instead of constantly stressing out about everything going wrong, I could step back and appreciate the fact that I even had the opportunity to create something. And on a film set, things will go wrong.
You need to leave!
On the very first day of our shoot, we were unloading all of our gear and getting ready to start. I realized I'd forgotten the literal key to the room where we were supposed to store all of our gear. 2 years ago, that mistake might have completely derailed the shoot. But this time, I just took a few deep breaths and enjoyed the process of being able to solve the problem. Film sets run better when the director is calm, especially on indie films where many of your crew members are volunteering their time for free. Your biggest leverage isn't authority, it's the environment you create. If the director is tense and frantic, that energy spreads across the set. But when you're calm, people trust you. So if there's one thing I'd like you to take away from this video, it's this. If you're a director, you need to meditate. If you heard me say it before, I'll say it one more time. Things will go wrong. I've had lead actors drop out anywhere from a month to a day before shooting. So in this film, months before production, I knew we needed a backup for everything. So my producer and I made a list of everything that could potentially derail the shoot. From losing actors to locations or even getting shut down, we racked our minds of anything that we could think of. The process changed the way we prepared. When I casted Purple Haze, I wasn't just casting 3 leads, I was casting 6. 3 leads and 3 understudies. It might sound like overkill, but it completely changed the feeling stepping onto set. Plan Bs won't solve everything, but they can dramatically reduce how much chaos can derail your production. And when your crew sees that level of preparation, it raises your confidence as a leader. If there's one pattern across everything I've talked about, it's preparation. As a director, you're constantly answering questions from actors, your DP, AD, PAs, but the clearer your understanding of the scene is, those conversations become much easier. For me, that comes from doing a detailed scene analysis. The 2 questions I'm always asking are, what does the character want and how are they trying to get it? When I can answer those instantly, directing the performances becomes much easier. And when I can't, it usually means I haven't done enough work yet. But even strong scene analysis doesn't mean much without this next step. Rehearsals where all that preparation actually becomes usable. Every director's approach to rehearsal changes. Some barely rehearse at all, while others spend weeks working through the script. For me personally, working as an independent filmmaker, rehearsal is essential. The biggest thing rehearsal creates is confidence. If actors feel comfortable with the character, even if the choices aren't perfect, you have something to work with. Trying to figure out all of that during production just slows everything down. And for me, rehearsal made the transition from previz to production much smoother because the actors already understand the emotional rhythms of the scenes. Now, those are the tools that help me the most while directing. Every director eventually builds their own process, but these were the things that made the biggest difference for me on this production. And if there are any tools or techniques you rely upon that I didn't mention, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Stay creative, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.